I had just found myself inside the world of a novel. Barely had I regained my senses when my fiancé shoved a document at me, a share transfer agreement. I blinked in disbelief as floating comments danced across my vision. Hurry up and sign. It, male lead. Only when you give up everything and leap off the rooftop will the female lead finally realize the truth. This is the most heartbreaking moment of the story. She's about to awaken, come on. Let her see how wrong she's been. As I scanned the madness, I shredded the agreement without hesitation and struck the so-called female lead across the face. If they wanted a tragic romance at my expense, they could forget it. I wasn't about to play the martyr. Instead, I would burn down this twisted love triangle before they sacrificed me for character development. I'd landed in one of those melodramatic novels where the male lead suffers a tragic fate. He was a CEO, wealthy, powerful, completely obsessed with the female lead. He fell for her instantly and pushed her up the ranks from nobody to vice president. Everyone at the company knew he worshipped the ground she walked on, but a month before their wedding, she started getting suspiciously close to a new intern. Despite his protests, she insisted on appointing the guy as her personal assistant. She even misappropriated company funds to buy him a matching luxury watch set and a high-end sports car. When the intern got sick, she nursed him through the night, something she had never done for the male lead. She even made him herbal soup by hand, something she never once did for her fiancé. The intern, clearly not lacking in audacity, marched into the CEO's office and staged a scene. Before she arrived, he slapped himself and framed the male lead. Furious, she gave an ultimatum. Either kneel and apologize, or transfer your shares as proof of innocence. He refused to grovel and chose the latter. 2 months later, she married the intern in a grand ceremony. But the wedding was interrupted by a pregnant woman, his past lover, who stormed in and exposed everything. Only then did the female lead realize the man she trusted had been lying all along. Desperate to make things right, she rushed to find the original male lead only to watch him leap from the rooftop in despair.
Ow.
Her guilt consumed her. She lost her mind, destroyed the intern, and ended up broken. That was how the story ended. But I wasn't about to let it play out again. As I processed all of this, more comments appeared. This is the turning point. He has to sacrifice everything, only then will she realize his value. Please, male lead, don't disappoint us. I snapped out of my daze when Willow's assistant gave me a pointed look and spoke. President Wong, Vice President Luez, been running the company non-stop. Even if she's close to Makoto, isn't it all work-related? You really should be more understanding. She gave me a condescending smile. Just sign the agreement. You're getting married anyway, does it matter whose name is on the shares? I chuckled at her nerve. The man before me was the company president, yet had only one assistant. While Willow had two, even they felt bold enough to lecture me. Clearly in Willow's eyes, the original George was just a disposable fool. But I wasn't him. I gestured for her to come closer. When she did, I lightly tapped her cheek and smirked. Since when does even her little dog think she can bark at me? Her confidence crumbled. She backed down, muttering apologies. Makoto, the intern, clutched his reddening cheek and cried again. Willow, just look at him, he hit me. Willow glared at me. Or I'll never forgive you. I tore the agreement in half right in front of her and slapped her hard. You, forgive me. You're nothing but a prop in my life. Who gave you the right to scream at me? She was shocked, completely frozen. Our office had glass walls, and the blinds were up. The entire company was watching. Online. Viewers were losing it. What the hell just happened? Why's the script off the rails? Where's the heart-wrenching drama? No share transfer? No rooftop dive? What is this? Is the male lead turning into a villain? Willow's voice trembled. You actually hit me. But my gaze was colder than ice. Gone was the simpering pushover she used to control. Tried to muster her usual authority. Kneel and apologize or I'll never forgive you, I sneered. You up from obscurity, gave you status, and you repay me by sneaking around with some pretty boy assistant. Shameless. I struck her again, harder this time. She stumbled and hit the ground. Her eyes were now venomous. There's nothing going on between me and Makoto, she spat. You're just making baseless accusations. That made me laugh. Baseless. We bought him matching watches, gifted him a sports car, brewed soup for him, and you dare say there's nothing going on? The comments were going wild. This is insane. Where's my noble CEO? George is unhinged. But honestly, it's kind of satisfying. Willow tried to cover her tracks. He worked hard. I just wanted to reward him. Are you seriously this petty? My anger flared. Makoto stepped forward, trying to defend her. It's all my fault, President Wong. Don't blame Willow. He's playing the victim, perfectly hoping. This scene would deepen her sympathy for him, but I wasn't buying it. You're ambitious, I told him, but you messed with the wrong person. I kicked him in the gut, dropping him to his knees. Let's see how far your schemes take you now. He tried to act defiant, but the pain was too much. He tried to look pitiful again, whispering, if you're not done hitting me, I can. Take it. Just leave Willow alone, I sneered. Ah! Oh, we're just getting started. Then I slapped him again and again, until his smug mask cracked. Willow screamed for me to stop, finally panicking. But I didn't. He wanted to climb. Over me, then he'd pay the price. Eventually he'd begged for help. Willow tried to intervene. He's kind, George. Don't you see that? Kind? I snapped. He clings to you, knowing we're about to get married, and this whole plot to take my company. Wasn't it his idea? Willow finally dropped the act. So what if it was? You never loved me enough anyway. It was all I needed to hear. Enough. I slapped her again. You cheated. And now you expect love? She lost it. Apologize now, or I'm calling the police. I sat down calmly. Go ahead. But before that, let's talk embezzlement. Over 8 million yuan. Want to guess what your sentence will be if I report you? The comment section exploded again. Willow turned pale. You're lying? I smiled. We can bring in the audit team right now. Panic took hold. George, I'm your fiancé. So what if I spent a little money? You didn't. Spend my money you stole from the company. I'll pay it back, she pleaded. Oh, and how do you plan to do that? She froze. Employees nearby snickered. Flustered, she grabbed Makoto and took back the watch and car keys, placing them on my desk. This covers part of it. I'll repay the rest, okay? Then she tried to flee. I barked. Stop! She turned, forcing a smile. Thanks for the reminder, I said coldly. You're fired. We're done. You're no longer welcome. In my home, or my company, security arrived. I addressed the guard. If she steps inside again, you're fired. Willow was shaking with rage. You'll regret this, George. What do I want? I replied. I want you to lose everything. She screamed, You're rich. What's 5 million to you? It's not about the money. It's about consequences. She had no idea this wasn't a tantrum. This was retribution. The other side reacted quickly and loudly. Oh, he really... Threw them out, savage move. This is exactly how you deal with fake girls and those who act all high and mighty. Wait a second. Did that weak guy suddenly turn into a confident CEO? Did I click into the wrong series? Not. Gonna lie, this was so satisfying to watch. Those slaps, pure gold. President Wong is a legend. In Chapter 9, Willow pulled Makoto into the driver's seat of my brand new limited edition Bentley sports car. I had just bought it, but since Willow liked it so much, I let her use it whenever she wanted. This car is amazing, Willow. Mind if I drive it for a bit? He asked. She smiled, of course. What's mine is yours. They swapped seats. Right there, and Makoto said. I've got something to do at school. Let's head there first. The truth was, there wasn't anything waiting for him on campus. He just wanted to show off the car. Makoto was just a senior intern while his classmates were buried in books preparing for grad school. Meanwhile, he was constantly on WeChat, showing off luxury cars, fancy restaurants, and designer watches. His classmates couldn't help but feel jealous. So when he pulled up to school in a rare supercar, he became the center of attention immediately. Isn't that Makoto? One student gasped. Even a guy who used to make fun of him for being from a rural town was stunned. That car costs millions. Where'd he get the money? Another asked. Haven't you seen his posts? Rumor. Has he landed a super rich girlfriend? Forget grad school, I need to find a wealthy woman, someone joked.
Makoto's really winning right now.
That engine sounds amazing. Some even ask for a ride. But wait, why do they? Look a little beat up, one whispered. You don't get it, rich people are into some weird stuff. Honestly, if I had a rich girlfriend like her, I'd take a few bruises too. It was obvious they were trying to show off to get under my skin. Makoto wrapped his arm tightly around Willow's waist, looking proud of himself. Willow looked slightly uncomfortable but didn't move away. To the students watching, she looked like a celebrity. Jealousy filled the air as more people gathered. Makoto enjoyed the spotlight, holding Willow even closer, leaned into him sweetly like the perfect couple out of a romantic movie. They looked like everyone's dream pair. But little did they know I had been watching everything. Soon, the police arrived on the scene. "Excuse us," an officer said. "We need you both to come to the station. This car has been reported stolen by the owner." They froze. Willow snapped, "You're mistaken. This car belongs to my fiancé. How can it be stolen if I took my fiancé's car?" The crowd gasped. "Wait, fiancé," someone blurted. "She's getting married and still hanging out with another guy?" "She's just using him," someone muttered. "No way Makoto got a rich girl on his own. He's just the side guy, showing off in someone else's car. So embarrassing." Makoto's face turned bright red.
Oh.
They never expected to be called out like that, especially in public. The officers took them both in for questioning. Online, the bullet comments exploded. He really reported them? It's harsh he's never going to forgive him now. Is it just a car? Did he really need to call the cops? Why is no one talking about how fake she is? Finally, the male lead isn't a pushover anymore. Loving this. By chapter 10, the two of them stumbled out of the police station the next day. Willow called me immediately, voice full of anger. "George Makoto's just a kid. So what if he got carried away with your car?" "Did you really need to report it?" she snapped. "There's nothing going on between us. I was just being supportive. You've always been the jealous type." She kept going. "You're a CEO. Can't you act like an adult for once? This whole playing hard to get thing, you're overdoing it. I didn't waste time arguing." "Willow, enough. You have 1 month to return the 5 million you owe, starting now." She went silent, then shouted, "You chased me for years. Don't pretend you stopped loving me just like that. You just want me to beg, right? It's not going to happen. I'm marrying Makoto. See if you come crawling back to me." She hung up. Classic romance drama thinking. She still believed I was bluffing. She acted like she was priceless, when really, she was just someone the old George had simped for far too long. The comment section lit up again. It's over. He messed up big time. Why isn't he apologizing yet? Did this story just take a sharp turn? Here we go with a wedding, heartbreak, and rooftop scene incoming? Honestly, President Wong seems like the only one acting rational right now. I ignored the comments. Just then, my assistant came in. "President Wong, should we stop covering Willow's mother's medical expenses?" I shook my head. "Not yet. Give it a month." Willow's mother had a serious illness and needed expensive medicine to survive. To cut it off in a month, I added, "Consider it a farewell gift for my former fiancé." A full month had passed. Willow and Makoto held a lavish wedding at the 5-star Tianlan Hotel. Over the years, the old George had given her countless luxury gifts. Selling just a few of them easily paid for the fancy ceremony. The hotel belonged to a friend of mine, so naturally, I had access to all the security footage. Every camera and microphone in the banquet hall had been set up perfectly. I wasn't about to miss the show. The video was clear, so clear I could hear every word they said. The grand ballroom was packed, full of guests from both the Liu and Ito families. Most of Makoto Ito's relatives were from the countryside. When they heard he was marrying a vice president from a publicly traded company, they could barely contain their excitement. It felt more like they were celebrating their own success. The banquet hall buzzed with energy from their side. In contrast, Willow's family, the Lius, looked anything but happy, while not wealthy. The Liu family held city residency and considered themselves superior to their rural in-laws. They were visibly displeased, especially since they had once hoped Willow would marry the CEO of the Wong Group. To them, this marriage was a major downgrade. Willow had no real support system, only a gravely ill mother and an irresponsible younger brother. Her family had tried to dissuade her from the wedding, but when she wouldn't listen, they gave up. As Makoto and Willow made their entrance, Makoto's side immediately rushed over with warm smiles. His mother pulled Willow close, glowing with pride. Makoto really hit the jackpot, marrying a vice president. Amazing. And he said you were gifting him a luxury car and a villa too? Is that true? Willow's expression faltered for a moment. She had casually made those promises before, but she had no intention, or the means to follow through. The truth was, she never planned to go through with the wedding. It was all a ploy to provoke me. She was sure I'd crash the wedding if she made it public enough. She even shared the details online, convinced it would trigger a reaction. But for now, she had to keep the act going. She forced a smile and said, "Of course. Once we're married, we'll be family. I'll make sure Makoto gets his car and villa. There'll be plenty of room for all of you to move into the city with us." Makoto's face lit up. That was exactly what he wanted her to say, especially in front of the guests. He thought she still had money left from her years as VP, even if she had left the position. He couldn't believe she was broke, but Makoto had no idea how wrong he was. Willow had already drained much of George's wealth, and her younger brother had squandered most of it through gambling. She had even resorted to embezzling company funds to cover their mess.
Makoto's.
Mom clutched Willow's hand, clearly thrilled. "You're such a kind girl. Makoto must have saved the universe in a past life to end up with someone like you." More relatives joined in, praising Makoto. "I always said he was destined for big things. Got into a top school and married a beautiful, successful woman. Our family is truly blessed." Others laughed. Makoto's clearly the pride of the family now. His fancy homes, cars, he's really made it. One aunt even joked, "I wish he were my son." Makoto's mother beamed, bragging about her son's good character. "He's always been a great boy, kind and respectful. He's a perfect match for Willow." As the ceremony began, online bullet comments exploded. "The wedding's starting. Here comes the drama. What's George doing? Still watching from a screen? If he wants to stop the wedding, he better hurry. I'm betting 50 cents that he'll crash it." Others were more realistic. Why should a CEO throw away his pride for an ex? President Wong is finally thinking straight. Avoiding toxic people is the real win. As Chapter 13 began, I stayed calm and continued watching the live footage. Willow, however, was visibly uneasy, frequently glancing at the banquet hall entrance, clearly distracted. Her mind was racing. Why hasn't George shown up yet? Am I really going to go through with this? She started having second thoughts. Makoto's young, but he can't give me the life I want. Just then, the officiant's voice pulled her back. "Do you, Willow, take Makoto Ito to be your husband?" Willow hesitated. She started but couldn't finish. The room fell into awkward silence, and Makoto's face tightened. Suddenly, a voice rang out from the back. "I object." The doors burst open, and in walked a pregnant woman with a clearly visible baby bump. It was Mary Makoto's childhood sweetheart. Her eyes were filled with tears as she stepped forward, leaving the entire hall in stunned silence.
Ow.
Eyes turned to her. Makoto went pale. Maria's voice cracked as she said, "Makoto, you promised to take responsibility. I'm carrying your child. And now you're marrying someone else? How could you be so heartless?" This was not the interruption Willow had anticipated. She expected George to stop the wedding, not a pregnant ex-girlfriend. As she stared at Maria's rounded belly, the realization hit hard. It was clear to everyone now she wasn't the victim. She looked like the one interfering in someone else's relationship. Rage bubbled up inside her. She turned to Makoto, glaring.
Acto, what the hell's going on?
"You better have a good explanation." Makoto broke into a sweat. "Willow, please, it was just a mistake. Maria and I was a moment of weakness." Smack! Willow slapped him hard across the face. Her voice shook with fury. "You've completely let me down." Makoto's mother immediately tried to deflect the situation, pointing at Maria and shouting, "You shameless girl, who even invited you, and how do we know that baby is even Makoto's?" Maria burst into tears, her frustration boiling over. Don't you dare blame Makoto for this, she cried. We've known each other since childhood. We've always been close. If it weren't for that woman suddenly showing up, we would have ended up together a long time ago. She glared at the other woman. You're just a simple girl from the countryside. What could you possibly offer my son? Someone like Willow, who's educated and comes from wealth, is the kind of person worthy of him. The crowd, which had just been singing the Ito family's praises moments ago, suddenly turned cold. The atmosphere shifted as judgment filled the room. Willow's younger brother couldn't contain his anger. Furious, he stormed toward Makoto and began hitting him without restraint. You're the reason my sister isn't marrying President Wong? You good-for-nothing freeloader. I'll beat you to a pulp today. What was supposed to be a graceful wedding quickly spiraled into total mayhem. Meanwhile, Willow finally began to grasp the consequences of her choices. I hadn't shown up at all, and the realization hit her hard. Grabbing her wedding gown, she ran out of the banquet hall in a panic. But just as she reached the exit, 2 court officials appeared and stopped her. Miss Liu, one of them said firmly, "This is a court summons. You're being called to appear in court as a defendant in an ongoing case." Online viewers went into a frenzy. Some were stunned, others amused as the plot took a dramatic turn. Comments flew in. She was expecting heartbreak and got hit with legal trouble instead. From a tragic love story to a revenge thriller, this writing is next level. She really thought she had the upper hand. Look at her now. Willow stood frozen, stunned by the sudden blow.
Oh.
It felt as though a brick had struck her mind. No, this can't be happening, she kept repeating, unable to process what had just occurred. It was at that moment she realized I was serious. I wasn't just upset, I'd truly given up on her. There were no more warnings, no second chances. I had skipped the emotional confrontation and gone straight to legal action. A wave of fear crept into her chest, cold and suffocating. Regret consumed her as she realized the magnitude of what she had lost. Desperate, she called for a car and sped toward my villa. The reason the court officials had found the wedding venue so easily, I had planned it that way, knowing I was part of a rewritten story. I took precautions, including hiring bodyguards to make sure Maria arrived safely. About 30 minutes later, my butler came to my study and said, "Young master, Miss Liu has arrived." Kneeling at the front gate, I responded calmly, "Got it." I picked up a bottle of red wine and made my way to the front entrance. There, kneeling on the stone path, was Willow. Her usual confidence had completely crumbled. Now she looked defeated and desperate. I looked down at her coldly. "Well, isn't this a surprise? Shouldn't you be enjoying your big wedding right now?" She flinched at my words, then crawled toward me, grabbing onto the hem of my pants. "George, I made a mistake. Please, forgive me," she begged. "I never really wanted to marry Makoto. Only did it to provoke you. I swear there's nothing going on between us. Give me one more chance, I'll do anything you say." The comment section lit up once again. Viewers were stunned at the shift in tone. This man's colder than Ice Drew CEO energy. She's literally on her knees, and he's not even blinking. I'm locked in this drama just went nuclear. Without a word, I uncorked the wine and slowly poured it over her head. Willow didn't move. The deep red liquid streamed down her styled hair and soaked her pristine wedding gown. Widened in disbelief. Wine clinging to her eyelashes like the tears she had once shed 2 years ago, back when she had pleaded with the original George to help her as her mother lay dying. Who would have imagined that just 2 years later, she would turn on that very same man, forcing him to hand over his shares and abandoning him to marry someone else? Nothing going on, huh? I repeated her words, a cold smirk forming on my face. Then, without hesitation, I smashed the bottle on the steps beside her. The sharp crack of glass echoed through the air, making her jump. "You still think I'm that naive?" I asked, staring at her with contempt. "You're standing here, still lying to me. Tell me, what are you even worth anymore?" "You're a manipulative, vile snake," I said, staring down at her with contempt. "And you still have the nerve to stand in front of me and lie?" Willow clung to my pant leg, panic written all over her face. "George, please," she pleaded. "I'm telling the truth. There's nothing going on between me and Makoto. It was a mistake. I crossed the line. But I swear I'll never speak to him again. You know I've only ever loved you. Just give me one more chance. I had heard enough. My patience was gone. I slapped her hard across the face. Believe. You, I scoffed. Have you even looked at yourself? Then I threw a stack of photographs at her. Each image exposed the truth pictures of her and Makoto embracing, kissing, walking into hotels, even screenshots of his smug messages, mocking me. We broke up ages ago, Willow. You can sleep with whoever you want. But you came back, trying to manipulate me again. What? Did you think I wouldn't strike back? The online comment section exploded. Viewers were furious. She's been lying the whole time. Disgusting. President Wong just went full savage. This is the real deal. She'd be publicly shamed if this were ancient times. Even the few defending her were drowned out. One user wrote, "She just made a small mistake? Does she deserve all this?" To which hundreds replied in unison, "Shut up." Willow stared in horror at the damning evidence scattered at her feet. Her face went pale. She couldn't deny it anymore. I looked down at her and said coldly, "You still claim to love me? You still say you're innocent? You make me sick." I let the final blow sink in. You want the lawsuit dropped? Forget it. And as for your mother's medical bills, they stop today. Whether she lives or dies is no longer my concern. Call it fate. Her eyes widened in disbelief. Then all at once, she collapsed. She began slamming her head into the ground, weeping, her voice cracked with desperation. "George, don't do this. Don't cut off the medical support. I'll do anything, please. Just give me another chance." I crouched down, grabbed her chin, and forced her to meet my eyes. "Willow, I did love you once, so for now I'll give you one last chance. But everything you and Makoto did enraged me. So figure out what it'll take to earn even a sliver of my forgiveness." Then I turned to leave. Just before walking back inside, I looked over my shoulder and said, "You could have been Mrs. Wong. Now look at yourself groveling in the dirt like a stray dog. Tell me, who do you think is really to blame?" I saw it. That flicker of rage building in her eyes. Something inside her had snapped. And I knew when a woman like Willow finally breaks, she can become far more dangerous than any man. With a final slam of the door, I left her behind. The bullet comments online lit up once again. Wait, plot twist incoming. Is the female lead going dark? President Wong just rewrote the whole storyline legendary. Makoto's done. It's over for him. The next time I saw Makoto, it was in an abandoned, half-built construction site. Word had it that Willow had sold off the last of her luxury items to pay a few shady contacts to have him dragged there. Given her former role as VP of Wong Group, it wasn't surprising she still knew how to move in the underground. I brought a full security team, just in case. Makoto looked barely alive, his body bruised, his spirit shattered. As soon as he saw me, he dropped to his knees and began kowtowing like his life depended on it. "President Wong, I'm sorry. Please forgive me, I'll never do it again. I swear, please." But before I could respond, Willow stepped forward with a heavy wooden rod and brought it crashing down on his leg. There was a sickening crack. His bones snapped violently, and Makoto let out a blood-curdling scream. Willow looked up at me, hoping for some reaction, but when she saw only cold silence in my eyes, she clenched her jaw and kept swinging. Again and again, she shattered his limbs. Her eyes were wild with rage. "You ruined me, Makoto. I lost everything because of you. You deserve this." I glanced at Makoto. Blood was pooling rapidly. Even if help came now, he likely wouldn't make it. It was time to end the charade. I raised a hand and signaled my bodyguards. "Restrain her. Call the police. Send them." The footage, we can't let criminals like this roam free. They moved quickly. Willow was forced to the ground, eyes bloodshot with fury. "George, you set me up. You planned all of this, you monster. I'll curse you until my last breath." I didn't even flinch. I turned and walked away, her shrieks echoing behind me like a dying banshee. "George, please, let me go. I'll vanish. I promise." The online audience lost their minds. Once more, she's completely unhinged, mental breakdown level. President Wong's 10 steps ahead. What a move. This is no longer a tragedy, this is justice served cold. One person tried to question the story's direction. Shouldn't this be about healing and reconciliation? But the reply was instant and overwhelming. No, this is the male fantasy. This is true catharsis. President Wong is a legend. To everyone's shock, Makoto actually survived. Some miracle of modern medicine, but he'd never walk again. His spine and limbs were beyond repair. As for Willow, she was sentenced to life in prison. Her punishment was just beginning. It made me reflect on the foolishness of the original male lead. He had everything, power, wealth, charm, yet chose to destroy himself over someone like her. These days, whenever I'm in a bad mood, I visit the prison. The moment Willow sees me, she loses her mind. And just like that, my spirits lift. Honestly, it's therapeutic.